Then rest, because rest is needed to reset all of your systems in your body. Nutrition, obviously, because that's the energy and the nutrients for your body. And of course, activity. And let's talk about nutrition a little bit more closely. So in general, to make it as simple as possible, you want to have a low-calorie diet, which is high in nutrients. So if possible, the least amount of processed foods as you can. And you want to keep a health-promoting body fat percentage. And how can you achieve that? Let's take a closer look first. What does healthy body fat means? That your body has more body fat than it normally would accumulate in normal circumstances with a balanced calorie diet. So you eat more calories than you need. If you do that for too long, or if you eat too much calories, you accumulate too much body fat, which can result in health issues in the long term. On the opposite side, if you eat not enough, you can get underweight. But in nowadays society, or in the Western countries, that's rather not the problem. It's more the being overweight, unfortunately. Good. Let's define what is overweight first. Again, the HWO defines overweight as having a BMI equal or greater than 25. And obese is someone who has a BMI greater than or equal as 30. But what is the problem with the BMI? Because the BMI is not very accurate and not very valid. The BMI already gives you the relation between your height and your body weight. So it does not consider what that weight is composed of. Okay, that means it does not consider how much of that weight is fat, how much is muscle, and so on. And that plays a huge role in how healthy you are actually. Because as you can see here, the weight which is problematic for your health is usually the visceral fat, so the fat surrounding your organs. And that is, through studies, proven the type of fat which messes the most with your health. Good. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a good chart in English, so this is German, but don't worry, I'm going to translate it for you, for the non-Germans in here. So the upper half of that chart is the women's, considering their body fat ranges and their age. So as you already can see, comparing women with men's, naturally women have a way higher body fat percentage than men. That's normal. And that's why it's so important to consider the body fat percentage as well, to make sure that the weight you got is still healthy. And what measurement is more accurate for that reason? It's the waist to height ratio, because if you measure the waist, you got more like the visceral fat, the organ surrounding fat in that equation in relation to your height, than rather just weight and height. Another good way to measure your body composition is a DEXA scan. It looks kind of like a X-ray, so it measures everything like your bone mass, your muscle mass, how much water you have in your body, like everything. That's the gold standard. And there are some fancy bodies like scales where you can step on and it measures you as well. I think in Larmsey they have like a body pod, so that's a pretty accurate way to measure that as well. Good. So overall, like I already said, the BMI is overrated and can be inaccurate. So if somebody judges your weight on BMI, you want to make sure to double check. The last topic about the health, I promise. I know that topic is annoying. But I just want to make sure to cover everything for you. So, what are the risks of being overweight or obese for too long? So the main, or like the acute symptoms you can have is you are less durable in your daily activities. Like for example, just like going up the stairs can be hard. You are getting out of breath quicker. Life is actually harder, and because you just carry more weight than you have to around with yourself. And secondary problems can occur, like cardiovascular disease, so your heart health, lung health, your vessels like arteries, the blood flow gets compromised. Diabetes type 2 can happen, so not the one you get from like genetically, but diabetes type 2 is usually a result from or of your lifestyle. Of course, from my main profession, physical therapy, I have a lot of people which could ease their joint pains by just getting some weight down. For example, in the lower extremity, your blood pressure and your resting heart rate can be chronically elevated, which is also not good for your heart. You can have gut problems if the way, like your diet is not very like fiber rich or nutrient rich. So as you already can tell, there's a lot problems with come with being overweight. All right, so enough of that. Let's talk about how to work on that, right? Because that's why we are here today. Good. So the good part about healthy eating is first you have to understand nutrition, because like everything, if you understand it, it's very easy to like apply it to your daily life. And unfortunately, usually nutrition is taught in a pretty biased way, so like a lot of black and white, right, wrong, and it's not true, and it's not scientifically proven that there's like one food which makes you healthy or one food which makes you unhealthy. Usually it's an accumulation of time and a lot of decisions you take. So as you can see, when I was growing up, I was a little chubby kid as well, because my relationship with food wasn't always good as well. My parents were raising me in a sense, because back when they grew up, they didn't have all the food all the time, so they always were about enjoying food, eat as much as you like, clean your plate, take another plate. So that was all the stuff I was hearing constantly. And as you can see, I was listening to my parents too much. Plus, I wasn't very active, so that didn't help as well. But yeah, then in my late teens, it was getting too out of hand. So I said to myself I had to change something, and I did start with just training and learning about basic nutrition principles. Good. So let's approach it from a scientific standpoint, because that's usually the way I like to get my information, because you just know that information is valid. Good. And as you can see, single studies are not as valid as the sum of evidence, because you can unfortunately find a study proving everything. Like there's a lot of studies out there which are like telling you this is good for you, this is bad for you, but the problem with those are they are usually biased. You always have to check who's sponsoring those, because a lot of times the food industry like to sponsor studies to make their products look better. So if you're interested in looking that stuff up, always look for studies or the sum of studies which do have a lot of people in there and a lot of different sources with the same outcomes, because that usually tells you it's true. Big picture of diet and health. So as you can see, it's a little pyramid to make it a little easier. As you can see, the base of that pyramid is calorie intake. Above that is your macro intake, micro intake, micronutrient intake, meal timing, and that little almost, can you see it? That means supplements, a little bit more in depth. So, why is your calorie balance so important? It's pretty simple because what are calories? Calories is the unit which the energy in your food is measured. So that means the energy your body needs to function. Okay? And it's a pretty simple calculation. If you eat more energy than you expand throughout the day, you ate or you have more energy or energy left in the end of the day. And the way your body works is, oh, I got some extra energy, let's store that up. And most of the time it gets stored as body fat, unfortunately. The same is true if you eat less energy or less calories than you need. That means you're going to lose weight. And your lifestyle highly impacts how your body is going to handle those calories. So if you're very sedentary, you don't move a lot, and you eat a lot, that means that extra calories usually get stored as body fat right away. But for example, if you're very active, you work out regularly, move a lot, like to walk around, that your body always considers first, like restoring the energy, repairing the musculature, the connective tissue and all that. And if there's something left, then maybe we're going to store it as body fat. So as you can see, lifestyle is very important as well for that. Good. Next top, macronutrients and the groups of foods you want to eat. So to give you a little explanation, macronutrients are fat, protein and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are usually named as carbs, and they most of the time have bad reputation. And food groups to eat, like I already teased in the beginning, try to eat as unprocessed as possible, because usually the more processed foods are, the less rich in nutrients they are and the more high in calories they get. So less nutrients, more energy, that's usually a bad trade-off. And the less or the more natural the products are, the higher nutrients and usually the less in calories they are. Yeah. And you always try to eat the foods you want to, or for example, if you aim to have a certain macro amount daily, for example, certain amount of protein, certain amount of carbs and fat, always try to eat foods which exclusively deliver you or replenish one macronutrient. Example, if you want to get your protein intake up, try to eat lean meats, lean dairy products, legumes for vegans, everything which mainly has protein without any, or a lot of additional other macronutrients. So, and that helps you as well not overshooting your goals. Same is true for the carbohydrates. So unprocessed, like oatmeal, dark dough bread, rice, vegetables, fruit, all that stuff. And for fats, usually nuts are a good source for those people who are not allergic to it. Vegetable oils, butter has a bad reputation, however, but if you eat not too much of it, it's actually a pretty good fat source, which gives you vitamin K as well. Yeah, so just as you can see, you just have to know first, and then it's way easier to choose. How do you know how much of those nutrients do you need? The good thing about that is you only need 10% of your daily calorie intake for each of those. So, for example, you got 2,000 calories a day to maintain your body weight, and 10% would be 200 calories for each. So if you eat 200 calories out of that for fat, 200 calories protein, and 200 calories of carbs, you covered usually all your minimum requirements. The good part is you have 70% left to fill in whatever you like to. That's why some of those extreme diets work as well, like veganism, which is very carb heavy, or ketogenic diets, which is very heavy in fats, because they usually cover still all the minima, like the minimum needs you have, or you need. There you go. Good, now micronutrients. The good part about that, topic is if you check the calorie box and the macro box with eating mainly unprocessed foods, you don't have to worry a lot about the vitamins and minerals because they are usually enough in those good, like unprocessed foods. If you still want to know if you're deficient in something with the way you eat, you can do a blood test by a skilled physician, and it's going to tell you if you lack some vitamins or minerals. If so, you can try to find out which kind of foods contain those nutrients you lack, or convenient way, supplements. But that can be a rabbit hole as well. Good. Meal frequency and meal timing. Same is true here. Unfortunately, there's still that myth out there that you cannot eat carbs past 6 p.m. or whatever. Like, I don't know who that started and why it's not ending, but again, if you got your calories and your macros in check, you don't have to worry about when you eat your food, because it doesn't matter if you eat all your calories at once, throughout 10 meals, all at night, all in the morning. If it's not more than you need, you're not going to gain weight, or you're not going to lose weight. Yes, another topic which was very common a couple years ago was the topic fasting, like intermittent fasting. If you just look for weight management, like you gaining or losing weight, fasting is not superior to calorie restriction. Fasting usually works because people just skip breakfast. That means they eat less calories, so they lose weight. The only benefit fasting has, it got a promoting effect. Good. And last topic, supplements. As I already said, if your nutrition is overall good and you cover all the basics, you don't have to worry about that. But if you have some deficiencies, of course, you can supplement if you need to, if it helps you. Yeah. All right. Practical application. As I already said in the beginning, first you have to understand it. Because if you don't understand it, you don't know what you're doing. Okay, so understand nutrition first. Then, as I already said, cover the base. Eat the calories you need to. So whatever your goal is, maintaining weight, eat just as much calories as you need. Losing weight, eat less calories. And if you want to gain weight, eat more than you need. Yeah. And unprocessed food, of course, mainly. I like to stick to the 80-20 rule. So 80% usually the least amount processed as possible, and 20% enjoying whatever I like. If it's ice cream, burger, it won't kill you if you don't do it like all day, every day. Then, of course, drink a lot of water, stay hydrated, because sometimes the body can confuse thirst response with a hunger response. So people snack even though they are thirsty. So always try to be as much hydrated as you can to prevent unnecessary cravings. Try to limit liquid calories. So a lot of hidden calories in soda, for example, or sauce. All that stuff, which unfortunately makes the food taste so good, but it can be a huge addition on your daily caloric intake. So you have to be careful with that as well. And if you can, cook as much as you can, because that helps you to know what you're actually eating. You can control it better, and you know what's in it. Yes. Yeah, and last point, as I already mentioned, the supplements, if needed, if you have a deficiency, and you can replenish it through your food. Those were some of the studies I used to gather the information for today's presentation. So as you can see, you can look those up on the internet if you want to. And in summary, for those 3 studies, 1,700 people did participate. So we have a huge database and nice and valid and quality information here. It's because I like obviously I like to give you the best possible information, and for my nutrition coaching clients, the best possible service. Good. All in all, now you got the kickstart for understanding nutrition, so the first step, and now the rest belongs to you, so you have to make the best out of that. Just think about where you are now and where you want to go, because setting goals and planning always helps to make sure reaching your goal is as much possible as you can. Thank you very much. That was my presentation.